What we're going to tackle next then is the contact form, and you know, the footer and the rest of the content is bottom part of our design, so we can get this wrapped up and all finished. Okay, so first thing I'm going to want to do then is create the headers and this text, this dummy text. So we're going to use Bazaar again. So on the background layer, make sure that's selected in the layers palette. We're going to choose Bazaar, and then we're going to raise the font size to 35 pixels, and then type out we would love then underneath that we're going to raise the font size up to 68 pixels, and we'll type in "to hear from you!" exclamation mark, and then what we can do is paste in our drop shadow that we've got already in our clipboard. So hold down both of those, select both of those layers, and just paste that down, and just right click. So make sure both these layers are selected, and just right click there and paste layer style. Okay, so bring back our guides. What we're going to do, we're going to zoom through this because it is pretty straightforward. All we're going to be doing is using our rectangle or rounded rectangle tool, and the only thing that really need to go into too much depth will be the send button and our footer, I suppose. So let's zoom through this. Just going to lift it up right up to the top there, and then let's add in our Lorem Ipsum at the side here. So with the font change, select the background layer first, because you don't want to be changing these fonts when they're selected. You change the font down to Arial, and then font color will be white, and then leave it at 15 pixels, and then just copy that in there. In fact, what we'll do, we'll delete that, and then we'll just grab the type tool and we'll just drag out a selection and then paste in there. Control V to paste. Okay, so just mucking around with that to shift that level with the top of that to make sure that is by dragging a guide down. That's spot on. Okay, so the form next then. Let's just group these together so they're out of our way. So group those and call these titles. And background layer selected, we're going to choose the rounded rectangle tool, and we're going to make sure that fill pixels is selected in the options bar. And then we're going to choose the radius. We'll make sure that's set to 5 pixels. Foreground set to white. Create a new layer, and then just drag out a rectangle. Then control then choose then click V on your keyboard, bring back the move tool, and hold down the Alt key and the Shift key, and just click and drag down, and do that again. And then the bottom one, make sure you order these in the layer palette. That's the bottom one. And with that one selected, Control T, and it's going to give that a bit more height for our comment section. And then I'll make sure these are distributed or properly spaced out. Okay, we'll do it like that. Alright then, so we're going to give that an inner shadow, so we'll quickly zoom through this. So bring up your layer styles, give it an inner shadow, turn off use global light, I'll go to 202, bring that down to about 50% opacity, and then that's okay. I'm going to click the FX icon, hold down the Alt key. I'm just going to click and drag up into the other three as well. Another quick way of doing that. Make sure that middle one's quite spaced out nicely. Right then, and then we'll add in our capture. So with the round rectangle tool selected again, we'll just create a new layer, and then just drag out a square. We'll line that up, bring that up a bit. Then we'll give it the same inner shadow as those. So hold down the Alt key, click and drag the FX icon into that layer. We'll call this catch BG. In fact, what we'll do, we'll actually group this quickly. Ooh. We'll group this straight away, Control G, and call that capture. And then above that we want to add in our 2 plus 2, our really hard sum. So we'll click there and turn the foreground to fairly middle colour grey, and do 2 plus 2. Open up your character palette, and we'll just increase the font size of that to about 17, and then you use the move tool. It's going to use our arrows on my keyboard just to shift that in to the right position. Then we're going to add in our little capture text. It would be great to beat the robots by answering this very simple question. So with the horizontal tool again, turn that down to about 12 or 13 pixels, and then it's going to paste in my text. Looks pretty good to me. And I'm just going to add in my drop shadow. I add a drop shadow to it, so open up the layer styles on that, choose drop shadow, and we'll turn it down to distance to 1, angle 120, and size to 1, and bring that down to about 60% the opacity, probably about 50 actually, looking at that. And then like I need to change that back to a bigger size, a 2 plus 2. So open up the characters palette on that, and I'll bring it up to about, we'll do about 18. Okay, 18. Okay, that's the capture done. Next up, to add in our button. So open up our layers palette, close the capture, and put the capture at the bottom there. This is our message. Just quickly name these layers as we're here. So message, and then email, and then name. Oops. And while we're saying that, we might as well add in that as well, as we have in our final design here: name, email, message. So we'll click inside that using the same settings as we had as our 2 plus 2. Actually would be the other text. It's set to Arial and 12 pixels, and we've got that fairly darkish grey, and we'll type in name ... and then we'll do it in this one. We'll just do email and then message. Easy peasy. So select those all, make sure they're all nicely aligned. Using the move tool, shift them to the side, and then okay. I might actually bring the colour of those down slightly. So open up your characters palette, window, character, and then raise the. That's it. That one looks better. Now I'm going to save this. Make sure you save as you go through this design. You don't want to be losing everything if if Photoshop decides to crash. Okay, then I'm going to add in my we're hiring and the other bit section underneath that. So with the rectangle marquee, sorry, the rounded rectangle tool selected, underneath our capture, we'll create a new layer. I want to call this "We Are," and then just drag out a shape, rectangle. Okay. Make sure that goes right to the edge of our last guide, so we've got enough room. Then I'm going to copy that, bring it down to there, and actually I'm going to delete that, sorry, and I'm going to make that a little bit higher, just a tag higher. Then I'm going to copy it, there we go. Just going to shift that above that one, and this one is called conference, so CONF. Okay, so next up will be to add in our text for this. So we're home, I'm going to use anchor jack. So select the horizontal type tool, choose anchor jack, and we're going to select, well, turn the foreground colour to the same colour as our learn more button up top here. So we use the eyedropper tool and select that, and then inside that we're going to type in we're hiring, and then same again for the config one. Just select the config layer and just type in we at con 2012. Okay, so it's anchor jack font size of 12. We could actually increase that actually to 14. Do the same for we're hiring. Increase that to 14 at the top here in the options bar. And actually bring that down slightly. Okay, and then add in our Lorem Ipsum, which I think we have still in our clipboard. So we are hiring. Stick some text in there. Have we got it in there? No. Yes, we have. No, we've got that capture. Okay, well, let's go up to our titles and just copy that Lorem Ipsum there, and then back down to here again, and we're hiring. We'll just copy that in there. What we'll do, just probably delete a lot of this. We'll change the colour of that. Open up the characters palette and let's change the colour. Do that one. Change the line height to 22 and the font size down to 12. And that looks good to me. Yep, that'll do. Then to finish off that we're hiring, we just need to put in a learn more button. And we can use the same one we did for our about section. So open that up, scroll down to learn button, which is that one. That's that one, it's a copy one. So copy that, drag it into layer style, new layer icons, drag that out of there, so we don't want it in there, do we? And drag that down into our we're hiring section, and do the same for the actual button itself. Just bring that down and learn more. Slip that in there. Slightly different to our finished design. In fact, we could probably decrease the line height perhaps to 18 and increase the font size to 13. Yeah, that's it, that's better. And then we're going to use the same text for that as that for our config, so we'll just copy that and pull that down into there and do the same with the actual text. Ooh, where'd that go? Okay, so that's that bit done. Then I want to actually push that learn more button up slightly to give it a bit of padding, and then I'm going to save all this into, well, put all this into the form, into a group called form. So Control G, form, and let's make sure it's all in there apart from the capture. I'll just stick the capture in there as well then. Okay, then all this can be called what we are doing. So all the what we are doing section. So we're hiring, we're going to the conference 2012, wherever that is. And last but not least, we're adding our footer, and no, we don't. We want to add in our send button, don't we? Of course we do. So open up a form folder or form group, and just above our capture, just create a new layer, and we'll use the same foreground color as we got in there already for our button, which is that one there. Let's make sure it is that one. I'm going to drag out a button shape. So with the round rectangle tool, then on that new layer, we'll just drag out a rectangle shape, a button shape, should I say. Put it nice and big, and fairly big, and position it there. So I'll just double click that layer, bring up the layer styles. I'm going to give it a pattern overlay to begin with. We're going to change the blend mode. Actually, we'll just get the pattern first. We'll use the same patterns we did for our logo. Okay that. Well, don't okay it, just click away from it. And then we'll just turn the blend mode to soft light. And then the opacity down to 30%. Then we're going to choose gradient overlay. The gradient overlay will change the blend mode to soft light again. The opacity to 40%, and then that's that done. Then we're going to give it a bevel. So you got the bevel, choose in a bevel, and it's going to be smooth. Depth is 100%, that's everything's okay. The size we want to 0, and obviously for soften 0, and the angle, angle 90%. Everything else should be fine. The highlight mode though, we need to change that to overlay, and turn it right up to 100%, and then search shadow mode to linear burn, and whack that up to take that down to 20%. Then we're going to give it an inner glow. Inner glow you need to change to white, the colour white. Then I'm going to turn the opacity down to 30%, and then size is going to be 4, and then I'm going to give it an inner shadow now. The inner shadow, it needs to be blend mode needs to be overlay. The opacity to 20%, and what we're going to do, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to uncheck use global light, and we're going to set this to -90, so sitting right at the bottom, and we're going to turn up the distance to 15. Not 145, to 15, and then size to 20. Now it does, it gives it a nice well, I suppose a gradient look, but we use the inner shadow instead of gradient. Then we'll give it a drop shadow, turn that down to 40%, and then do 2, 0, 4, And that's our button done. Hide our guides. All we need to do then is to rename this send btn bg, and above that set the foreground to white, and what we're going to do is just add in our text now using the Arial font. We'll change the Arial font size in a moment, but just click in there, just write in send, caps on. Just open up your character set now, go to window, character, and I'm going to do is just drag up the font size until I'm happy with how it looks. Bearing in mind I'm going to have a little arrow to the right of that, so I'll probably bring that down to about 23. Yep, okay, so open up Layers palette again, on choose a new, create a new layer, and use the ellipse tool. I'm going to set the foreground colour to a darker colour than our bottom, so use the bottom of that, just do it a little bit darker. Just going to drag out a little circle at the end here. Then I'm going to give that an inner shadow, so bring up your layer styles, give it an inner shadow, 120 angle, bring that down to 60%, and just do 101, just a very subtle inner look. And then finish this off, I'm going to open up my custom shape tool, and I'm going to choose this arrow, and I'm going to set the foreground to white by clicking D and X on my keyboard, and on a new layer I'm going to click and drag out that little arrow. Using the space bar I can shift that around to where I want it to be. Okay, that's that done. I'm just going to group those. Actually, I'm going to merge these together. Should I merge them? No, I'll tell you what, I'll call this arrow, because I might want to change this later on. I'll just call this circle, and then I'm going to group the whole send button together, and of course call it send btn. And if I want to use that again, I can just make exact copy of that, and that is the form done. All we need to do then is to add in our footer. I thought it was going to be very small. I don't know if I've got enough size for this one, so it's going to be a bit smaller. But we can always raise everything up. So what we do, we'll do that. We'll raise everything up slightly so we've got some room at the bottom for our footer. So I'll just select the logo, select everything up the top here. Every single thing, select it and just shift it up. And now we've got enough room at the bottom now for our footer. So create a new layer, call it footer or footer BG, and use the rectangle marquee tool. Just drag out a selection roughly about there, and I'm going to fill it with a pattern, same colour as our green, same pattern I've used up here for our services section, which is called green fibres. Then I want to use that stitch divider, which is there, look, in our layers palette. So I'm going to drag a new copy, drag that down to new layer icon, create a new copy, and then I'm just going to click and drag that down and position that at the footer. Excellent. Last but not least, what we need to do is add in our social icons. Now open up your source files, and if you just drag, we'll just do 2 of these, and then you can do the other 2 yourselves. So it's going to drag this into Photoshop, the little tweet. Okay, is our little birdie, and just position it up here, and then we're going to add a little circle, a white circle. So use the ellipse tool here, set the foreground, set colour to white. Just going to drag out a little circle, and then I'm going to position my bird over that, make sure it's on top of the layers palette. I'm just going to position it down. I'm going to bring in my document so you can see what I'm doing, and just bring that down. Say there. So all I'm going to do now is hold down my control key and click on that bird, select the one layer underneath it, which is the white circle, and hit delete. Control D to deselect, and this delete my bird, and I should have a nice little Twitter cutout, a little bird cutout there. Then I was going to open up my layer styles on this. I want to give this an inner shadow. It's going to go right to the top, so I'm going to do 90 and do 1 0 1 0 1. Actually 1 0 0, and then just bring down the opacity on that to about 60%. So there's one. Then we're going to call that Twitter, and then push that over there. I can spell. Then we'll do the same with another one. We'll do Facebook. Let's bring that into Photoshop. Create a new layer. Use the ellipse tool, and then just hover over that one so you got the right size. That's actually giving me the same. No, it isn't. And then position that over that, and you get the idea. And what I'll do, I'll leave you. I'll leave you to do the other ones. That's it. And copy that, delete, deselect, delete that, and then you have your Facebook. So I'm just going to copy these two. Okay, so that's your social icons done. I'm going to group those and call them social. Control G, call it social. Open that up, and then I'm going to add my text. And then we'll just bring that down to 15, and just write in connect with us. Bring it down to there, and then I'm going to select all these and shift them over right to the edge. There's the edge, aren't they? Check the final, yep, right to the edge there. And I might need to bring them in slightly as well. If I just do that one and that one, and I'll distribute them using the align tools at the top there, and then I'll bring that in to there. Control S to save, and there's our social icons done. Probably a little bit bigger than our finished design, so just select them all, Control T, just bring them down slightly, no big deal. And then what we're going to do is just copy these, so drag them into new layer icon, and then drag that all the way down into the footer, and then we're done. Just need to add your copyright, drag that in down to the footer, get rid of that. Ooh. Okay, and then drag that over to there. Add in some copyright, which you should know how to do, I'm sure. And then all I did then was on the right hand side there. Turn that way. Just the website designed by me. That's pretty simple. Just type in website designed by, and then using the ellipse tool on new layer. Actually, not the ellipse tool. We use the rounded rectangle tool and set the same color as this, but we'll just bring it down slightly darker, and then drag out. And then in there, just write in your name. Excellent. That's pretty straightforward, and that's the footer done, and that's the whole design done. Let's position it exactly right, so everything's nicely aligned. Been the 960 grid system. We've learned how to do the rounded stitch effect. We've applied a lot of layer styles to certain things, used a lot of patterns, a lot of textures, and applied a few little subtle effects like the letterpress effect and whatnot. So hopefully you've learned a few little techniques from here, and hope you enjoyed this screencast, and I'll see you again.